अलबेला साजन आयो रे अलबेला साजन आयो रे अलबेला साजन अलबेला साजन
Nada Sadhana is an iOS app that helps you practice and learn classical music. Now, this is an app that pushes the boundaries of what apps can do, and it has some extremely ambitious upcoming features. It's been developed by Sandeep Ranade, who's a Pune-based computer scientist and classical musician. Now, let's take a look at how the best features of this app were made and what's coming in the next version.
So I've been teaching music for about 14 years now, and the problem is of perfect notes. If you go back say 50, 100, 200 years back, in the Gurukul era, this system of learning involved you living with a teacher, and the teacher would spend 10-15 hours a day teaching, and you would spend that time learning, and then you would practice on your own as well. Even if you make a mistake in that practice session, self-practice, the next day the teacher will course correct immediately. Today what is happening is people have less time, lifestyles have become faster, you have less time to learn, teachers have less time to teach. I can't afford to have people come live with me, for example, right? But how do I then course correct at that frequency? For most of us, what will happen is that there will be some delta between where the note should be and where you are hitting the note. And that is never going to close satisfactorily. So to achieve that, the solution was course corrections at a very high frequency. So every time you sing on your own, there has to be somebody telling you, little sharper, bass, little lower, that perfect. And constantly. I was looking for apps that would do this, and there are no satisfactory vocal analyzers out there, and especially not for classical music, because the ratios are a little bit different than the Western scales. So for every rag, you will have a slightly subtle different set of microtones. There might be different tuning itself. So there is 22 Shruti versus Gandhar tuning and so on. So the ratios will change. And there was no app that I found that would do this.
The simplest way to describe Nada Sadhana is that it's an app that helps you train yourself in classical music. But that's probably an oversimplification. The first feature of this app, which was added in version 1, is called a precision tuner. This helps you hit the right notes when practicing and when trying to learn classical music. The app supports both 22 Shruti and Gandhar tuning, and this is something that's a unique selling point for Nada Sadhana. The app has 4 levels of expertise, which is beginner, advanced, expert, and perfect, which helps you grow as a classical singer.
The extreme example that I encountered was a student who had learned from somebody else, and she came to me and said, "Will you please help me? I'm not very happy with my progress." I said, "Well, sure." And we started with a rag called Ahir Bhairav. And there is a critical note in that rag which is Komal Re. And she was not able to find it. And it is not that she had learned for 12 years. She had learned rags that contained this note, and she was still not able to find this note. She would snap to Sa or the next note, which is Shuddha Re. But there is this entire spectrum of frequencies within those two notes, and she was not able to snap to that ever. Mangal gavo chokh purao, Mangal gavo chokh purao, da 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 ba da ni re da re ni sa da ba da da ni sa 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 da ba da da ni sa 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 da ba da da ni sa sa. And that was such a shock to me. And for an hour we would practice, and she would get close to that note in that hour. And then she would practice on her own, and then again we are back to square one. This happened for a few weeks, and I said, this cannot continue. There is something fundamentally wrong here. And then that is how I started thinking about this problem to begin with. And then that led to the construction of the precision vocal tuner, which itself is an entirely different problem to solve, because vocal analysis turns out to be exceptionally difficult. My first version took my battery life, which is 2 days on this phone, to 2 hours. So I had to then find a better solution. Where the first version is limited is when you start to sing fast phrases or play fast phrases. And there the feedback can get so fast that your eye is not really absorbing it. So there is an instrument called a Swara Mandal in our culture, which is basically it's like a harp. It's called an auto harp. So when you start when you pluck this and start these strings into motion, they'll remain in motion for about 30 seconds. So that creates this soundscape which is subtle, background, but it's quite long. And so it allows you to tap into a subconscious process called spontaneous entrainment, where if you hear a certain set of frequencies, your voice will automatically snap to them without even realizing it. So if I play a Swaramandal in the same way every, say, 30 seconds or every minute, that is going to get boring really quickly. It will also not really create the right soundscape for what the context of your music is. Now, the only way that I can actually do this is through AI. And so for that, I had to understand what you're singing, what rag it is, how you're singing, when you want me to play the Swaramandal and when you don't want me to play it, because not all times are appropriate. If I constantly play it, it's not going to sound great. If I play it too infrequently also, it's going to lose that sort of entrainment aspect of it and the ambience, the mahol aspect of it. And this also has the sort of added side effect of inducing some creative thinking, because it'll show you a phrase that you might not have necessarily thought of, and then that'll give you more ideas and you can improvise further. So that is where the smart Swaramandal comes in. It understands more than 100 rags, and every phrase that it will play will have a unique quality. It'll never replicate itself as such, and so it should sound like a human expert is playing.
The most ambitious feature of Nadasadhana is upcoming in version 3. It adds an AI-driven tabla player that helps the app simulate some of the experiences you will only see during a classical music concert. Now, I'm not an expert classical musician, so I'll leave it to Sandeep, who's the developer, to explain these features.
See, on stage what happens is you have expert musicians accompanying you. There is tabla, there is harmonium, there is potentially you are playing the Swaramandal yourself, there is tanpura, there is organic real instruments, there is beautiful sound. Now, here is the problem. On stage, I can do things because of that chemistry, because of all of this amazing magic. I can do things, I can think of things that I would have never otherwise done at home by myself. That is a very big risk, right? Because I'm now going to be singing things on stage that I have never thought of or practiced before. But if I am able to practice at that level every day in my own home, then I can bring my stage performance to a whole new level. Recreating that stage experience with that live interaction at home, even if I can get to 80-90% of that interaction, that will allow my riyaz to reach a level that was never possible before. And so this is what the third version of the app tries to bring about, where the tabla also has AI driving it. It understands what you're trying to sing, what you're trying to play, and accompany you appropriately as you would want.
पिया समझाऊं समझत नहीं पिया समझाऊं समझत नहीं मम धनि धनि
As of now, Nadasadhana is exclusive to iOS. Here's what Sandeep had to say about why Nadasadhana is not on Android.
On Android, the technology doesn't exist today. The sound stack, the entire audio stack is so high latency, and this is a design problem. It's not going to be easily fixed with an update. It's a rewrite really, and there are a lot of people talking about this latency problem all over the net. But for iOS to provide this platform with such high fidelity, such low latency, and amazing building blocks, this app would have taken me a decade or more on any other platform if it was possible.
It's fantastic to see Indian developers making polished apps, but it's even better to see it when an Indian app is pushing the boundaries of what apps can do. Now, when we first checked out Nadsadhana, it was available at 2,499 rupees for iPhone and iPad. At the time of recording this, Nadsadhana has been made free for a limited time on the App Store, so you can check it out on your iPhone and iPad. Version 3, which adds the AI-driven tabla player, will be coming in the next few months according to the developer. Now, when version 3 comes in, the developer plans to add a subscription-based model to justify investing so much into this app. So what do you think of Nadsadhana and what the developer has achieved here? Let us know via the comments. Thanks for watching this video, and for all things tech, check out gadgets360.com.